Hello and welcome to Storytime. I'm Mr. Read. Now, it has been a long time since we've had a story on Storytime. We've just been so busy with kids going back to school and all sorts of stuff. Now, I was sent very kindly 3 storybooks by a writer, Michael DiPinto. And he sent them ages ago, and I'm only getting around to reading them now. So apologies for that, Michael. So we have The Princess Mermaid, Along for the Ride, and The Bridge Monster. Now, I'm going to read a little piece from each of the books, but you can find out all the details in the links below and find out what happens on each of these adventures. The first one is Along for the Ride, which is illustrated by Sue Lynn Cotton. Some lovely pictures in here too. Now, when a grasshopper lands on the windshield of this guy's car, I think that's Michael, maybe, he has the time of his life. So I'm going to dive in. He's landed on the windshield and off he goes. The first moments of my adventure were awkward as the man and I waited for the traffic lights to turn green. During my long wait at the light, I noticed the kids in the school bus next to us yelling and pointing at me. People in other cars stopped near us to also stare. I quickly turned my gaze to the driver, wondering, would he put the windshield wipers on and knock me off? Or could I stand on them and surf the windshield? As I prepared for this idea, my first car ride began. The car started to roll forward, and in all my excitement, I froze. Yes, that's right, I froze. I'd never felt anything like this before. The car started to move a little faster, and I knew then and there I was along for the ride. I decided to hang on for dear life and enjoy the views. Other cars moved all around us at crazy speed, and I knew the wind would send me somewhere I didn't want to go if I wasn't careful. I slowly started to turn around to see where we were going. And I was halfway around when all of a sudden my wings opened up and began flapping in the wind. Awesome, I thought, as I tucked them in tight to keep them under control. And as we sped down the road, we passed through another busy intersection. The trees, the houses, and the grass were a blur. But I held on tight, wanting to stay on this cool adventure. I knew my friends would never believe it. The driver kept staring at me as he drove faster and faster. He seemed like on a mission to get somewhere. And as the car rode up a long, steep hill and around several corners, I thought about the new places I would go. What would I see? Who else would I meet, I wondered. This ride was taking me further and further away from my field. Stopping behind another school bus, I watched the kids in the back of the bus wave and point at us. Actually, they were pointing at me. I excitedly raised my wing to wave back. And they were having so much fun. Surely I could jump on the back of their bus, I thought. No sooner did I think it was my chance to jump than the driver waved at the kids, gave me a funny grin, and sped on his way. I had missed my chance. The kids waved at me as the bus turned onto another street. And as we sped off, my wings began to flutter again. I was getting tired of tucking them underneath me. I needed to turn my body without my wings opening up and sending me flying. Slowly, I turned to face the driver, and with my feet grounded on the windshield, I rode up and down the hills. It was a blast, and the freedom of moving so fast was energizing. Now, isn't that an exciting piece of an adventure? Find out how Yuga gets on by checking out the link below. Now, the next story from Michael, also illustrated by Sue Lynn Cotton, is The Bridge Monster. Did you ever wonder when you're crossing a bridge what lurks underneath? Well, it might well be the Bridge Monster. So as the story goes, there is a monster that lives under all of the drawbridges. He's not dangerous. He will not eat you. He is only curious, just a little mischievous, and of course, shy. No one has ever really seen the Bridge Monster. He stays well hidden. Only a few have seen glimpses and peeks of his tiny little hands and his 7-toed feet. No one knows where he came from or how he got there, not even the bridge tenders who safely raise and lower the bridge for all the people to pass over and under. The only thing that everyone knows is that he has made his home under the bridge. And every time a car goes over, he growls, a very low, grumbling growl at the passing cars. Most every time, you can feel him trying to grab your wheels through the metal grating as he tries and tries to shake your car. Or whenever a truck or a bus go over the bridge, he growls just a little louder and longer and tries to grab their big wheels. He will sometimes shake the bridge really hard. Anytime a boat passes under the bridge, whether it's up or down, all of the boaters try to sneak a peek of the bridge monster lurking about. It doesn't matter what time of day or night it is, everyone looks up to see. And sometimes, if the bridge monster gets out of control and shakes the bridge too hard, the bridge tender will raise the bridge in the hopes of knocking him off onto a passing boat or into the water below. Splash! However, this never seems to work, since he is right back at it again as soon as the bridge is down and the cars start to pass over again. That cheeky little monkey. So, that's the bridge monster, and you can find out how he gets on and if he finds new friends and if people get to know the bridge monster, and it's a lovely story. And finally for now from Michael, we have the Princess Mermaid and the Missing Seashells. And this one is illustrated by Bobby Marsh. Beautiful colours, beautiful detail. A long time ago, there lived a beautiful young mermaid, a Princess Nicole. And every night, Princess Nicole and her mermaid friends sprinkled seashells over the beach for people to find the next day. Very thoughtful. And one cool and foggy summer night, Princess Nicole was alone, sprinkling some very precious shells and sand dollars over the beach, when all of a sudden, from the deep water came a swarm of Portuguese man-o'-war. They surrounded her with their long, poisonous tentacles. Their colourful red and blue bodies glowed in the dark as they stared at the princess. Out of the fog came a mean old pirate named Captain J. Lee Fish. He hobbled on his half-eaten tentacles, followed by the rest of his gang who swam behind him. The gang, called the Coral Eaters, was the most feared gang of pirates under the 7 seas. As Captain J. Lee Fish hobbled closer, Princess Nicole could see him sneering. She knew right away of the mistake she had made. Without saying a word, the captain took Princess Nicole's brightly coloured shell bag and gave it to his first mate, the Barracuda, flashing a toothless grin. The Barracuda flipped his tail and swam off to put the shells in the gang's treasure chest. Captain J. Lee Fish, however, did not trust the Barracuda. He nodded to the red line fish to follow him. He wanted to make sure the Barracuda put the shells in the chest, rather than hiding them there in his toothless mouth. Turning towards the princess, the captain said in his deep, scratchy voice, "Princess Nicole, you made a mistake coming out to the beach alone. I have you, and soon I will have your treasure of sand dollars." His scarred grey body shook as he spoke. "There is no escaping." And he turned to the crew and he bellowed out, "Take her away!" Oh dear, sounds very nasty. The pirates brought Princess Nicole back to their legendary secret hideout on Spearfish Island. And as the legend goes, Spearfish Island floats on the ocean currents and trade winds and is ringed by a fog of volcanic ash. The setting made it impossible for anyone, even Princess Nicole's mermaid friends, to find her. Well, the next morning a flock of seagulls found Princess Nicole's empty shell bag and a note written in the sand. Immediately they flew off to the mermaid's kingdom to tell her friends what they found. The note read, "If you want Princess Nicole back, you must bring all your sand dollars to Shelter Cove on the next night of the new moon." Shelter Cove is an old abandoned shipyard on Bonefish Cay. The mermaids knew what they needed to do to get Princess Nicole back. However, they also knew it was time to set their own plan in place. And they didn't have a lot of time to do it. Dun dun dun! Tune in next time. Well, check the links below and you can find out what happens for yourself. Some lovely, exciting adventures there. And such a range. We were under the water, we were under the bridge, over the bridge, and on the windshield of a car. Now, if you've written a story that brings you on all sorts of adventures, we would love to read it. So, the address, as always, is MrRead.Storytime@gmail.com. Until the next time, goodbye!